Whoops. Okay, my audio is on. Hey, welcome to today's Holy Week meditation. I'll give you a few moments to like and share and tap in. I apologize. The first 10 seconds, my audio wasn't on. But come on in. It's Wednesday of Holy Week, Passion Week, as we call it. And I would love it if those of you who are joining us here in our noonday hour would tune in, tap in, like, share, comment. If you can see and hear me, please be sure to say hello in the comments section. And it's good to be able to connect with you in this very special season in the life of the church. Good to see you, Janine. And all of those who are coming in, share this on your pages, if you will. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and Second Baptist Church, a House of Hope in Warren, Ohio. I hope your day has been blessed. We are at Hump Day, right in the middle of the week, and Sister Faye, just like in our day, the Passion Week was in a bit of a hump day as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about this today. So I'll give you a few seconds to come on in. Again, be sure to like, to share, hit the likes, the hearts on your screen. Make sure you share this on your timeline. Maybe even tag somebody. Use the @ symbol to tag somebody to tune in. We won't be with you long. Just a few minutes of a meditation. And we will have our normal prayer meeting at 6 o'clock and our Bible study at 6:30 tonight. And we'll be following the Passion Week theme then as well. So I hope you tune in and share with us at that time as well. Well, Holy Wednesday, or the Wednesday of Holy Week, is a bit of a strange day. It has sort of two basic designations. One designation is called Spy Wednesday. That's what it's called by some. Others call it Silent Wednesday. So some call it Spy Wednesday. Some call it Silent Wednesday. Some of us call it a little bit of both. And I'll tell you why. By the way, if you hear the lawnmowers in the background, it's springtime. So grateful for our brothers doing work out there. It's called Spy Wednesday because some scholars, many scholars, believe that Wednesday would have been the day, or was the day, when Judas bargained with the Sanhedrin, collaborated with them, made plans with them to set up a plot to entrap and betray Jesus so that he might be arrested and tried. So that's why it's called Spy Wednesday, because people believe that is the day, the period in which Judas separated himself from the group, met up with the Sanhedrin, who were against Christ, who were accusing Jesus of making all sorts of claims that were blasphemous, undermining their authority, causing the people to sort of shy away from them. And that's when it's believed to have happened. Now, it's called Silent Wednesday because there is no specific recorded activity in the Gospels of what Jesus was doing on that day. Now, there are some people who believe this might have been the time when his feet were anointed. We know he most likely stayed in Bethany, where he had been staying between his visits to Jerusalem to teach and, in some cases, disrupt and give some final pronouncements of the kingdom with his disciples in preparation for his impending death. But there's no particular scripture that marks the day Wednesday as a day that Jesus said anything of any particular significance or did anything of any particular significance. Before I move forward with my little meditation theme, if you would, I want to remind you that yesterday, if you were on with us, I mentioned at the end of my list of Tuesday activities, I mentioned Judas and the Sanhedrin. And that might seem like a conflict. How could Judas be betraying or plotting to betray Jesus, I should say, on Tuesday and Wednesday? Well, I want to remind you that in the Jewish version or Jewish view of how days are arranged, unlike going from midnight to midnight like we normally do, they tend to measure the days from sunset to sun up. So sunset is technically the end of the day and the beginning of the next day, Brother Ronnie. Sunset is considered the beginning of the end of the day and the beginning of the next day. We usually do midnight, 11:59, and at 12 o'clock it's the next day. Well, that happens at sunset in the Jewish tradition, in the ways that the days are arranged, which is why when our Jewish brothers and sisters celebrate Passover or Sabbath, they begin that Friday evening of the Sabbath. That Friday evening begins the Sabbath, that sunset, the sundown. So it does make sense that Judas could have, in our view of the days, have betrayed Jesus or plotted to betray Jesus on the evening hours, the dark hours of Tuesday, which actually would be counted as Wednesday, which makes sense, saying that if you were plotting against somebody and making a plan to entrap somebody, you'd probably do it at night. The Sanhedrin can get away. Judas could sneak away. Remember Nicodemus came to see Jesus by night? Yeah, that's when people do sneaky stuff at night. So there's no conflict there in the scriptures. There's really an opportunity for understanding, and context would be the great word there. Context of the scriptures as they are related and relayed through the ancient traditions and views that we might not be aware of. Said all that to say that whether or not it's Spy Wednesday or Silent Wednesday, there's a lesson for our lives there. I want to read the text that does mention what did happen concerning Judas in Matthew chapter 26. And starting at the 14th verse, I'm reading out of the NIV version of the Bible. It says this: Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. And from then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. So from that Tuesday night, which is really Wednesday, Judas watched for an opportunity, for an opening, for a prime spot to turn Jesus over to the chief priest, to the Sanhedrin. And so I want to talk about, since we call this Spy Wednesday and we call this Silent Wednesday, we have no word about what Jesus was doing in any definitive manner on this day, which lends to us the question, Deacon McLean, what happens when nothing's happening? What happens when nothing's happening? What happens when nothing's happening? I'd be willing to bet that any of you watching this video have been in a place in life where you felt like you were on a silent Wednesday. A silent Wednesday. As a matter of fact, just to bring it down personal, boy, I wish I could preach this text. For many of us, a silent Wednesday and a Spy Wednesday go hand in hand. Because while nothing seems to be moving in your life, things seem to be working against you through the lives of someone else or some other persons. What happens when nothing's happening for you, when there's nothing to speak of, nothing worth mentioning, nothing worth noting, nothing of significance? What's happening when there's nothing happening? That's the lesson, the question, the inquisition of today, of this silent / Spy Wednesday. What does it do when it feels like your career is at a standstill, your marriage is stale, your children aren't calling as much as they used to, friendships don't seem to be very vibrant, you can't remember the last time you traveled, you might even feel within yourself that you just have lost just vigor and vitality and excitement. Life is just a blah, just a routine, a rut. Just get up, go to work, go home, snag something to eat, go to sleep, and start all over again. What happens when nothing's happening? What happens when that business endeavor or that goal seems to be held up and there are so many blockades and so many delays that you almost worry if it's even worth it to continue moving forward? What happens when you even come to church? You feel like you've heard as many sermons as you can hear. I've tried my best, but that doesn't make me any more interesting than I would be. Well, what happens when you feel like you've heard all the songs you could hear and you've been as inspired as you can be, and even your faith life, even your engagement with God doesn't feel to have any life to it? What happens when you don't feel the urge to pray and you don't feel like God is speaking to you? What happens when nothing seems to be happening? That's a great question. What do we do with the silence? How do we handle, how do we endure, how do we traverse, how do we journey through our seasons of silence? It's so simple and elementary, and I know that some people might just log off even once they hear this phrase, because they'll go find some deeper words, some more significant, more well-spoken word. But allow me to encourage you on this Silent Spy Wednesday. The God who speaks to us, who encourages us, who formed us, who made us, who gives us life and strength and health and help, he is also the God of silence. The God of our silence and the God of his own silence. Yeah, the same God who we felt the fervor and the heat and the warmth of the word as we were transformed and brought into knowledge of the gospel. The same God who gives us that assurance when we are going into a surgery or facing a difficult time or overwhelmed with peace in the midst of grief and mourning. He is also the God who is there when we don't know the words to say, and he doesn't seem to be saying anything to us either. The Bible records there was a period of some 400 years. Traditionally, it's believed between the time of the prophet Malachi, seen as one of the final prophets of the Old Testament under the Old Covenant, and the time when John the Baptist steps on the scene. Not just Matthew, but John the Baptist steps on the scene, and there's this period of hundreds of years of silence. Can I tell you that God does not stop being God just because he chooses to be silent? And God does not stop being God just because we are in seasons of silence. God is just as much God as he ever would be to us, in us, and through us, whether we can plainly hear him or not. Whether things seem to be moving in a visible and verifiable and vibrant way, or whether we just seem to be stuck on our couches, stuck in our spiritual ruts. That doesn't seem like anything's going anywhere. That feels like the worst feeling in the world, doesn't it? Not to be moving forward, not to be moving backwards, but to not be moving at all. That feels like the worst possible feeling sometimes. But God is the God of those moments, the God of the dark moments, the God of the quiet seasons, the God where we feel stuck and stale and where he doesn't seem to be saying anything to us, though we are desperate to hear his voice. Even within ourselves, we don't seem to have the motivation all the time. We don't seem to have the energy all the time. We don't feel that unction to make great effort. He's still our God. Here's the good news. Even when we get funky and stale and our attitudes aren't there and our passions aren't present and our hearts aren't in it, he's still our God. And Jesus did not disappear from the earth on Wednesday. He did not go AWOL from his earthly ministry just because the Gospels don't record him saying or doing anything. Can I tell you that even when it seems like there's nothing happening, God is always doing something. As a matter of fact, before I let you go, God is a master artist at doing something in the midst of nothing. God is the master artist. He is he is the very best at taking nothing and doing something in the midst of nothing. It's how our world came to be. Out of nothing. The Latin term would be ex nihilo. Out of nothing, something. God knows how to work in our silent and quiet and dark and lonely and stale and stuck moments. You know, when the economy has bottomed out and the job doesn't feel exciting anymore, even the church isn't doing it for you. Yeah, God is still the God of those moments. So what do we do with the silence? What can we glean from the silent moments? What can we get out of it? What good is it for us? Is it good for us at all? I would contend that it is. That the silent days, the silent Wednesdays, the spy Wednesdays are a day when we can find solace. It's not until things get quiet that we realize how loud our lives can be. Yeah. Solace is another word for peace, S-O-L-A-C-E. In the silence, we can find solace. We don't know how loud our lives are until God allows it to get silent. As a matter of fact, even the things that we pray for and we desire contribute to the noise. Because we've got everything going on around us, and then we have so much going on in us, and the voices of those who are around us, the desires, the demands of life are just floating all around us, piercing our minds, piercing our hearts at all times. And at the same time, we have desires and demands within our own lives, within our own situations. We got things we're worrying about with our kids and our finances and our health and our careers and our communities that we're just, believe it or not, filling up our minds and our hearts. Even when we're not speaking, there's noise being emitted from us. And sometimes God has a way of turning down the volume all the way. Yeah, I grew up out in the country some years of my life when my parents built a house out in the township. And man, the silence was scary. The silence was scary. I never knew it that quiet without constantly hearing cars going up and down the street and the street lights, kind of coming through the windows, and kind of hearing doors slam and people working midnights and getting off early. It was weird. But over time, it came to be incredibly peaceful. The silent days, the silent seasons are a time for us to find solace in God in that silence. Not only can we find solace in the silence, not only can we find peace in that silence, Sister Anita, but we can also find a settling. We can settle ourselves. We can still ourselves. We can stop moving and pushing and forcing and running and jumping and stressing so much. We can actually settle. Come on, you know how good it feels in your own house. I don't care how well dressed, you got your makeup and your hair right and your outfit just right when you go to work, when you go to church, even when you go shopping. I am just like you. I'm all buttoned up and gonna be pristine even when I go for my walks around the neighborhood, or if I'm at the city council meetings, or I'm preaching in the pulpit or teaching on a Wednesday. We're all just done up. But come on, y'all, you know what it's like when you finally get home. Close that door, draw those shades, jump under your covers, kick your shoes and your socks and maybe the rest of all your clothes off, and you can finally just settle into your favorite chair, on your favorite couch. Maybe you got a space where you just lay out on the floor. There is something about being able to find settling, peace. Nobody calling. Turn the phone on silent. Don't even turn the TV on. There is a blessing of settling in the silence. Silence lets you know that all things have settled. Not only do you find solace in the silence, but you can find a settling in the silence. Everybody needs a season of settling. Even just a few minutes. Everybody needs the opportunity to just space out. I mean, to just zone out, tune out, think about nothing, do nothing, watch nothing, answer nothing, talk to nobody, just be. That's what settling is. When everything has settled, it's just there. Everybody needs that. Jesus needed that in the middle of a Passion Week. And sometimes, okay, here's the message, here's the gospel. The devil will make you think that settling, that means stilling yourself, being still, just calming down for a minute, is somehow losing or giving up or being lazy. Don't let the devil tell you that. The devil wants to see you burned out, thinking you've got to do everything all the time for everybody. And God says, come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest. God desires for us to find rest in him, seasons of rest, days of rest. Yes, you deserve a day every once in a while of doing absolutely nothing. That's right. No laundry, no cooking dinner, door dashing. I don't care. Just grab some celery out the fridge and go back to the couch. You deserve silent, settling days. Because we need them. They're restorative to us. They're redemptive to us. They help us. There have been days, right in the middle of the week, the office staff don't see me, the deacons don't hear from me, the neighborhood don't hear me, I don't even post on Facebook. It is my time to just be settled. The silent days not only bring us solace or peace, but they bring us settling and rest. And finally, on the Silent Wednesday, on the Spy Wednesday, that's a good time in your solace and in your settling to take stock. S-T-O-C-K, to take stock. To take a quick mental and spiritual review of where you are in this silent moment. What has transpired, what has passed, what has come, what has gone, and what is to come, and what is on its way. I just imagine, and it's only an imagination, that this was a good day for Jesus to recline in Bethany, to stay there at Mary and Martha's house, in his solace and in his settling, and take stock. One commentator said perhaps he'd noticed that Judas had slipped away because he'd already known Judas's heart. Maybe he just prayed for him and prayed for the other disciples and those that followed him, that they might be strong, for he knew his day was coming. Sometimes in these silent moments, God is giving us a prime opportunity to not only find solace, to not only experience a settling, but to take stock. When you feel like nothing's moving, nothing's going, nothing's progressing, maybe this is an opportune time to look back on how far you've come and how good God has been and how many blessings you've experienced. Yeah, if you are sitting in that house, on that couch, Sister Valerie, in your bed, just the TV on and you ain't even watching it, the radio playing and you don't even hear it, the dog yapping, I know, the little puppy yapping and all that going on, and you're just there and nothing's happening, man, that's a good time to look around and say, God, I thank you just to have a space to just be. Don't have to be this way. Don't have to live like this. Don't have to have these comforts. Don't have to have a place to lay my head or rest my body. I can take stock that I've got a roof over my head and clothes on my body and people who love me and a life experience that, though it has been troubling at some moments, I've had some good days and some bad days, it has not defeated me. It has not destroyed me. Even my own mistakes haven't killed me. I haven't consumed myself. I am still here and God is still with me. I'll just take stock. You know what the old song says, count your blessings one by one. Take stock. Take stock of who's been with you, and you can even take stock of who's no longer beside you. Just take a lay of the land on a silent Wednesday. and then see how God might want to move you forward and take you further. How the Lord may have been speaking to your heart about particular things and issues that concern your life and your faith, and what he desires to see in you, and take stock of your own personal preparation and passion and positioning so that you might walk into those things that the Lord has already opened doors for. Take stock. By the end of Wednesday, by sundown on Wednesday, I am certain Jesus was ready for Maundy Thursday, ready for that Last Supper, ready to send Judas off to finish his mission, ready to encourage Peter, and ready to display perfect servanthood to the disciples, ready to offer the bread and the cup as symbols of his body and his blood, ready to go find a private place to pray in the garden until Judas and those officials returned for him. Take stock. What do we do with the silence? Know that in the days and the seasons and the hours where nothing seems to be happening, God is always up to something. When everything in life seems to be standing still, God is still moving. And in the silent Wednesdays, we can take solace. We can find a peace and a settling. And we can take stock where we've been, where we are, and where we are going in God. This is your Holy Week meditation for Wednesday. And I pray that it is an encouragement and a blessing to your heart. I pray that it causes you to think a little deeper and to pray about how God can move in an even deeper fashion in your own life. I love you all so very much, and I want you to tune in tomorrow for our final installment of our Holy Week meditation. And then on Friday, we will have our Good Friday service, our service of hymns and meditation here at Second Baptist at 12 noon. And then we will have our 7 o'clock service hosted by the Trumbull County Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance. Pastor Joseph Walker is the president, Pastor Vince Peterson is the vice president, and they will be hosting 7 Last Words Good Friday community service here at Second Baptist, opening our doors to them. And so grateful to have our brothers and sisters come and worship with us. And that service is open to you, the public, the community, to come and worship all together. Please wear your mask. We will take temperatures at the door, and we will worship together. I love you all so very much. I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you, and God keep you.